Hi, everybody out there on the internet. This is TK is Outlandish. Here Teresa, and my husband Ryan talk about Outlander. Ryan has not read the books. I have read all the books. This is the first season that I've seen since I read the books. So I like to look at the show and how it compares to what's in the books, see what might have prompted things that they changed or switched around, and then we try to predict how the story is going based on those changes and even how the season might turn out.
Yeah, I'm
So,
actually very interested in all this now. We've made a couple of predictions so far. I don't know. Have we, 2 episodes in, have we hit any predictions yet?
the only thing that I said was that I was hoping that the scene with Jamie and the Cherokee women, I played it
That's
out
right.
in my mind and I hope that they would do it, and they did. Yeah, we'll get to that. I actually
Mhm.
took notes this time. I have notes this time.
Okay,
So,
great.
all right, this is episode 2, Allegiance. And first, I like to ask Ryan what he thought of the episode. Oh, first we have Adzo. I love Adzo. We love Adzo. We're cat people.
We are, yes, we are cat people.
And that was one of our cats. We have 3. But immediately when I saw Adzo on Donald McDonald's coat there, I was like, he must be allergic. It has to be. I'm pretty sure in the book Ads like he hates the cat because I think he steals his wig and he is allergic, so he's not like Adzo. We love
And that
Adzo.
does pan out as in the book in the series, in the TV series, yeah.
What the allergic to Adzo?
Being allergic and hating cats, yes.
Yes, yes. All right, so Ryan, what was your overall impression with the episode?
It was a little bit slower, I think, than the last one. The first one, they kind of revved everything up and kind of got us going again. This one was, some more just general storytelling and expanding on the plot lines a little bit. It was it was a good episode. It set it up pretty good for the next episode. It was, yeah.
Um, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was, oh, actually, we were wondering if they would always have like a prologue before they went into the title song now.
That's right, because this is the second time in a row where there was a prologue, or I'm sorry, the recap, then a prologue, then the opening credits.
Yeah, and I just wondered because I don't know what the fan reaction was overall, but the whole song now being sung starting out with a man, I was like, I don't know about that. So I feel like the prologue like eases us into it. I don't know if that's why they did it or if they're gonna continue to do it, but
Yeah, the,
I don't
the,
know.
the
It's just
theme
something
song's
different.
growing on me a little bit.
Yeah, and there wasn't too many episodes in past seasons that I remember that had like a prologue before the title
Mhm.
came in. And this is, I mean, obviously it's only the second episode, but it's the second time they had a prologue, so I wonder if that's going to be a thing. But so the first scene I did want to talk about was the scene where Jamie comes in as the Indian agent, and the Cherokee women come into his lodge, I guess, and want to serve him. I guess is the best way. Jamie's face, like
That's a
as soon
good,
as it
friendly way of
happened.
putting it.
Yes. So just let me tell you, this is pretty much exactly how it plays out in the book. It's pretty much how I imagine it. The only difference was, I think in the book, Jamie's actually sleeping naked. So he's naked, and the women end up staying. Just he tells him to leave, but it's raining. And Ian's like, "Well, you don't want him to go out in the rain, do you?" So they like just lay next to him, not just lay next to him, like not touching him, but they're all naked, and Jamie's just like,
I love
like
Ian. Every episode I love Ian more. I love how he just jags Jamie around this entire scene.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but that's almost exactly how it played out in my brain. So yeah, I should keep a scorecard of like what I think's gonna happen and what I hope they bring in, and I'll be like, ding, I got that one right. So would you think of that scene, non-book reader?
It kind of came out of the blue a little bit, although it does, I guess it makes sense that they would want to impress the person who might be giving them guns and weapons. Um, and I'm sure they know he's married, but cultural differences between the two. Cherokee, right? Um,
Yes.
mhm.
I
uh,
can't remember if they're a Cherokee in the book. Like, they might be another tribe. I can't quite remember.
well, that would seem like a strange change to make.
Yeah, but I remember there was a case before. I think it was season 4. I think the tribe was supposed to be Tuscarora, but they couldn't find a lot of information about them, or the area was slightly different, or something, and they had to switch the tribe. So it might be Tuscarora in the book, um, but I can't quite remember. If 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 someone's watching this and has only seen the TV show and do not know that the books are about 800 pages, it's really hard to flip through the book and try to find where it is. So
They're
I
big
think I
books, a
tried.
lot of shelf space taken up.
Yeah. What do I have? I don't. They're up there somewhere, but yeah, they're like 800 pages each. Um, but I don't know if they. Now I'm looking back. Did they say it in the show? But in the book, Ian explains because Jamie is a representative of the king, to them, like, he is the king. So that's why they want to thank him. I don't know. They
Get
want
in
to
his good graces.
please. Yeah, not really sure. But there was a lot of touching and nudity, and Jamie was having none of it. So yeah,
Hmm. Want to move on to the next scene?
yes. Let's move on to the next plot line that I wanted to bring up with Morsley and the Fergus storyline.
Well, actually, this scene I just have to mention since we're jumping from the Indian woman to this intimate scene. I'm not usually a big fan of the intimate scenes, but let me tell you, whenever they started talking, talking, I gotta say,
The
that's what
baby.
I would have said at least.
Yeah.
All right, so what we're gonna go to the next one with Marcelly and Fergus, right?
Yes. There we go.
Now this is another
Yeah.
intimate scene, but not quite the same kind of intimate scene.
Um. Anyway, so the baby, the Morsley and Fergus storyline. Um, we already had the idea that Fergus and Morsley were having trouble in their relationship, with Fergus drinking more, and I actually was a little wrong on that storyline. I thought that it was because he felt he couldn't provide for his family. Having well, actually, he did mention last episode about him having one hand, but it was a little beyond that. It was also not being able to protect Marcelly when Claire was abducted, and Marcelly was attacked too. She was knocked out and very pregnant, so he's also feeling guilt about that. And I thought it was really nice that they were able to come together in ways. Before she had the baby, can I just say Henry Christian? Because if I try to say it the French way, I'm just gonna sound like an idiot. So we'll just call him Henry Christian. Is that okay with you?
That is fine with me. So, uh, in the books, did they reconcile this quickly?
In the book, I don't think it. Fergus wasn't having these issues before the baby was born. I
Oh, okay,
don't
so they kind
think.
of jumped the gun on it a little bit.
Well, he wasn't drinking. He was having a little bit of issues, like feeling a little guilty about not being able to provide for the family. It's a little different in the book too. Claire and Marcelly are at not the whiskey still. So the whole storyline with Claire being abducted because she's telling the women folk stuff is fabricated for the TV show. In the book, she is abducted because Lionel Brown and the Committee of Safety, actually it's a rogue of the Committee of Safety, they want they want Jamie to give them the profits of his whiskey still. So when they show up at, it's not the whiskey still, it's like where they take, Ryan, you would know this, you know about whiskey, where they take the barley and the rye and whatnot and they lay it out on the floor.
It's, I mean, it's not the still, but it's in the distillery. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure. I forget what
So
the actual floor is called, where they spread out the like the oats and mash and stuff.
yeah, that's what Marcelly's doing, and Claire goes to see her, and and Germain happens to be there too. Germain runs back and tells them what happens, but they want Marcelly and Claire to tell them where the whiskey still is because Jamie doesn't, well, basically won't give them a cut of what he of the whiskey.
Now that's very
So
strange. Can you really hide a whiskey still? Like that seems like it'd be a difficult thing to hide, even in like the mountains
um,
of North Carolina. But I don't know.
I'm not really. I have a hard time visualizing where everything is in the mountains on Fraser's Ridge, like how far away the houses are, where the big house is. By the way, I'm still trying to convince Ryan that we should, if we were to ever build a house, it should look like the big house on Fraser's Ridge. I think it would be awesome. But that's neither here nor there. At any rate, Fergus is feeling um, guilty for not being able to protect Marcelly from being injured, and as so Henry Christian Henry Christian's dwarfism is looked at on the ridge as it's hinted at the preview for next episode is something that happened because Marcelly was attacked, because you know they didn't understand about genetics and things like that back
And they
then.
think that
So
anything that is odd and weird is some kind of retribution brought on them by God. And
right.
now with um what's the new character's name? Yeah, now that he's in the picture, all religious things are gonna just kind of get cranked up an order of magnitude.
And speaking of Tom Christie, so what's your view on Tom Christie's character?
Well, right now, he seems like a Richard Brown 2.0 to me. Aside from the look, which I said in the last episode, like I had trouble telling them apart, and it is difficult. They look very much the same to me. But even physical appearance aside, they seem to be acting in a similarly antagonistic way. Like they're being set
Mm-hmm.
up to. Richard Brown is going to be very much a physical antagonist, and Tom Christie is going to be very much a spiritual antagonist.
Mm-hmm. Um, Tom to me, and I know it's only the second episode, and it's different a little bit in the book. The Christies come at the end of book 5, so there's more development. A little, it's towards the end, so there's not a ton of development of Tom Christie. In fact, it's kind of like introduced as they're going to be big players in book 6, but there's a lot more development with Tom in the book. And I understand, obviously, 800-page book, 8 episodes season, so you can't develop too much. But I just feel I cannot dislike Tom Christie because I know his storyline. And I was just thinking, why was he at Ardsmuir to begin with? They didn't really cover that. And if I remember from the book, he wasn't really, um, he wasn't so much, he wasn't really like a Jacobite. It was more, I can't remember the technicalities, but it was more that he was guilty by association because, he's big into they just say Protestant, but it's specifically Presbyterianism, and very anti-Catholic. And not, of course, not everyone who fought to have a Scottish king on the throne was necessarily Catholic, but um, I would I don't know about the exact history of it, but I just think that um, the more we delve into Tom Christie's past, the more we'll understand why he is the way he is. And bring up that picture of Melva.
Ah, Melva. Now,
Yes.
I'm also
Demure,
like
sweet. Huh?
I'm also liking Melva, but I'm also disliking how Claire continues to just ignore every single time travel rule that we know, and even the rules that she's experienced herself. You know, I'm fine with Claire practicing medicine and to the best of her abilities in that time. She's even making ether, she's making syringes, she's,
Mm-hmm.
making the best she can of the time. Um, but then she keeps pulling in
Penicillin.
strangers. She keeps pulling people in that are inevitably going to get called witches or something and burned at the stake or something like that because she had to stick her nose in it.
Well, and then we were saying how she's like, Tom, I can fix your hand. I'll put you to sleep. I'll put you to sleep.
She
I'll
seemed
really.
very eager to
I
try out
just,
that ether on
yeah.
somebody.
And like, truly, if I were Tom Christie, I'm like, I just moved here. Your husband doesn't like me. I'm kind
I
of
think you're
forced
a
to
witch.
live here. I think you're a witch. Yeah, I'll let you put me to sleep and cut open my hand. Yeah, I totally trust you. But this
And you can
woman
bring
though
back
is
people from
speaking
the dead,
up.
apparently.
Oh yes, that was a great scene. That also played very, very um similar to the book. I think they called her Old Granny Wilson. Hiram Crombie's mother-in-law that passed away and didn't quite pass away.
That
But
was an
it's
amazing scene.
funny.
I love that. It was hilarious.
I thought it was funny, and I also loved Roger's reaction where he's like, you're closer to meeting God than I am." But it was sweet too because she's like, I forgive you. I guess, there is all this tension between old Granny Wilson and Hiram was her son in law and button heads till the end. But then she's like, I forgive you. You were a good lad. And I thought that was sweet. I like that. And Roger is, going into his role kind of as unofficial minister.
Mm.
But can I just say real quick, I'm still I'm still waiting for Roger and Brianna to have some sort of on screen chemistry.
You've been waiting
I've
like the past
never
years for that.
I've been waiting since season 4. I just don't like season 3. They were okay, but I just don't see it. I like them. I like Brianna as a character. I like Roger as a character. I think the actors do a great job. I just don't see them together as a couple. And it doesn't. I think it doesn't help that Sophie Skeleton's character, the way she portrays Brie, right or wrong, is so different from the book because the scene where she um says she invented matches, um and they think she's pregnant at first. In the book, she like loses her mind. She flips out. Roger has to drag her out of the house. She's screaming at Mrs. Bug, and it's like she just she's supposed to have like that Fraser temper, and everyone's supposed to know, oh, that's Jamie Fraser's daughter because she's 6 foot tall and looks just like him. Well, not at all, not at all in the show. So,
No, I mean
um,
they do a good job with the hair, if you ask me.
I mean, yeah, but I think it has to do more than hair. But I've always understood, well, not always, but I can understand you can't find a 6 foot actress that looks like a female version of Sam Heughan. I mean, how close? I mean,
Right.
you just gotta be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah, back to Melva here.
Melva, I just think, and I think it's because she's, I don't, I say that there's gonna be spoilers. I don't want to spoil it too much, but just saying she's a schemer.
I
She's a
mean, look at that
schemer, and
smile.
I think
Look at that smile.
that face. I think, and like when they show that face in the um Bear McCreary, the musical director, is very good with setting the mood and the music they were playing in the background. I think it was quite a foreshadowing of her scheminess. She's
That's
just a
interesting.
schemer.
Now the scheminess I didn't really get. What I got from that scene was that she's realizing that that she can have power too. That she's not relegated to churn butter and fetch milk at her father's behest.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. But like I said, like I know her. I know the future, like Claire. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I
That's
know. I know
heavy
Melva's
weight on your shoulders.
future.
You gotta be careful what you say.
But yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see what develops with little Melva there. So let's move on to Claire and her in the ether. Um, so Claire, has like a trigger with Marceline talking about the attack, and she goes to the ether. And I was thinking about this. What bothers me about the ether is not that, oh, Claire is too strong of a woman to do that, because I heard there's a lot of talk. I try to avoid online talk with fans and whatnot. Um, they're like, Claire's too strong to do that, and I don't think it's whether she's strong or not. I just don't. It's like I don't feel that there was any. First of all, I don't think Claire would have ever tested the ether on herself by herself with no one around,
Mm,
knowing that something could have gone wrong, knowing she might have used too much. That was just very unsafe. And I was trying to find the scene where she tested it. I think Lizzie was there and Melva. I think there was one or two other people there, and she was very like, she was timing it, she was testing it, and there was all these people. Like, I don't think Claire would have just been like, oh, I'm gonna test this on myself and see
in
if
the
it
book, she has
works.
a bunch of people around her.
Yeah, I mean she tells them what's gonna happen, and she's like testing it, and she's writing down like how long it takes and how many drops you have to do, and how many um and how long between drops, and don't give too much because it could be fake. So like the fact that she's just like, and that's the first thing that, to me, I don't feel like there was any hesitation. Like there was no like, oh, should I do this? Oh, should I have an open candle flame next to this highly flammable stuff?
Yeah, I don't.
Like
Yeah,
that's not
she's
Claire.
in the series. She has definitely been a very headstrong, just kind of throwing caution to the wind type person. I mean, we've seen that with her reckless just abandon for time travel rules. No, I'll
Mm-hmm.
try. But she just does things, sometimes without thinking about it, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe she think
And
about it when she doesn't. Maybe she doesn't want to involve other people, or she wants to take it on herself. But she's ever since this whole thing started, she's been very much I'm not sure who I can rely on, so I'm just going to go at this on my own. Even with Jamie in the picture, she doesn't always involve him.
mm-hmm. And we've had this discussion before. Like, if Claire would just listen to Jamie once in a while, like so much would not happen. Can you just trust that the man who's from the 18th century knows how to live in the 18th century? You
That would be
know,
advice. I would take that advice.
yeah, like don't go see Gayless. Go see Gayless. Stay here. Just accept that your 18th century husband knows what it's like to live in the 18th century. So it's
Now,
gonna
how
leave
would
it
she
like
feel?
that.
How would she feel if like places were swapped? What if they both came to the future, and Jamie started acting Jamie E around, you know, cars and television and airplanes, and she's like, "Oh, just do this," and he'd be like, "No," and
And he just whips out his sword, or
yeah, exactly, or
you know,
punch something. Yeah, no, he's an educated man. He wouldn't do that.
yeah. So I only have two more storylines I wanted your opinion on. Ian's storyline. We find out a little bit about what happened with Ian when he lived with the Mohawks.
Yeah, you've told me a little bit about what happens in the book, and I don't want to go into it and spoil it too much. But it's going to be interesting how they handle this in the series, because I feel that there is a way an easy way out for Ian, for him to kind of get over what trauma he has, and the fact that they didn't take it sounds, again, I'm talking about a little bit about the book, about what you told me about the book now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sit right with me. We'll see how it goes in the book or in the series.
Well, you don't want to spoil it, but I will. So,
Hey,
well, I'm okay. So here's the thing. So Ian said, I had a child. Jamie's like, oh, he has a family, but he uses past tense. So I'm thinking this can go one of two ways. So in the book, Ian and his wife, Emily, whose Mohawk name I'm not going to attempt to say,
let's say
have a
that didn't sound.
stillborn daughter. What's that?
Emily doesn't sound very Mohawkish.
It's not. So, they lose a daughter, but there's speculation that her next child might actually be Ian's and not her new husband's. Um, but this actually doesn't even get resolved until like the storyline is ongoing even into the book that just came out, book 9. So I don't think so. They can either say that he something else happened and the child's still alive, or the second child that's speculated might not bring it into the storyline, because the more I think about it, I think that the series might end next year, especially because it's 16 episodes. The lead actors are doing more. Like Katrina Balfe, I think, is nominated for an Oscar. She's doing more movies. Sam Heughan's doing more movies. How much longer, can you do this on? I think they're gonna start filming season 7 soon, because I did see an interview where Sam Heughan said they wished him happy early birthday. I'm like, his birthday's not till the end of April, but he had said he'll most likely be filming in Scotland. So I'm thinking they'll be filming season 7 soon. Um but I'm thinking there's a way, if they cut out some of these storylines, there's a way that they can end the TV series um next year. But they would have to cut out stuff like what happens to William, like Jamie's son. Is he just, because that's not resolved even in book 9. It's still not resolved, their like relationship. So
So you have
and
a lot of
so
doubts that the series is going to work its way all the way through the end of the books.
I don't think so, because it took, I think it was 7 years. Like I've said before, I've seen the TV series first and then I read all the books. So I only had to wait 2 years before book 9 came out. But the book readers waited, I think it was 7 years, maybe longer. So who knows when book 10 is going to come out. And that's going to be the last of the Jamie and Claire series. There has been talk about prequels, other things. But yeah, I just don't, I can't, like, if you do season 7 comes out in 2023, season 8, 2024, and then you have book 9 would be 2025. That's 3 years. The book would have to be out 4. I don't know. Maybe. And of course, it always depends on how much viewership you have, how popular it is, if Stars wants to continue it, all that stuff. That the actors or the will the actors be available? Like Jenny comes back into the storyline. Would Laura Donnelly, who plays Jenny, be available or interested? So there's just a bunch of other stuff that, but going into that, Bree and Roger restating that they've decided to stay there, so I don't think they're gonna go back to the future like they do in the books. So yeah, I know, and they have said that they're trying to have another baby, so maybe they will have Mandy, their daughter, and she just won't have her heart condition that sends them to the 1960s or 70s or whatever it would be now.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I'm actually a little surprised that they did include um, the baby's name was Henry Christian.
Mm-hmm.
That they did show that he had dwarfism.
Mm-hmm.
That as a if you hadn't told me that beforehand, I would have felt that was kind of came out of left field and like it's just another convenient plot twist to add tension and to add more conflict
Mm-hmm.
to the story.
Yeah, really. Well, I think because, so spoiler, Henry Christian does die tragically in the books in book 8. I think he's like 4 or 5 or 6. But I think he's they're going to, put it bluntly, kill him off this season. I think, one of the things is, I I don't I don't think they're going to continue his storyline because um Jamie kind of sends Marcelly and Fergus and their family away from the Ridge because the Ridge is so just can't handle having a child that is different,
And
that
a
they
witch.
kind of, and what?
And a witch. They already have a witch and
Yes.
with dwarfism. Like,
Yes.
what is
You
this place
can't.
turning
Yeah.
out to
Yeah.
be?
Right. So Marcelly and Fergus kind of bounce around. I think they go to Wilmington first, and then they end up in Philadelphia. So um, you're not gonna not have the actors not on the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you don't have that catalyst for sending them away, then the actors can stay on the Ridge. They get more screen time. If the storyline, I mean, if he's gonna die anyway, I think that maybe that they just won't continue his character, sadly.
And if they do
Um,
have to, kind of speed their way through some of these plot lines that are in the books, that they're skipping over a lot of stuff to get to others. Um, I guess
mhm.
that's one to skip.
And if they're gonna do if they're gonna do 8 episodes here, and they're gonna do um 16 episodes next season, can I just tell you? And I've read other comments, so it's not just me. Book 7 is my least favorite book. The first half of the book is just um battles of the revolution. Like they're trying to get back I don't even want to say it, but like the first half is just I can't keep track of the battles. I can't keep track of all the new characters. I'm just like, So if they want to skip the first half of book 7, um, I would not be surprised. But there's also like book 8 with Roger and Bree going back to the future. There's like almost a whole separate storyline with them in the future. And it's just, it gets a little ridiculous. I've told you about it. They kind of like, there's kind of like, if you remember Buck from Dougal's son, he goes through the stones and they're bouncing back and forth and they're in Scotland and then they go back and they're in this time period and I'm just like, oh, this just is a little bit too much. So
It kind
um
of takes away from the sacredness of time travel if you just kind of keep doing it. You know, it's supposed to be something that
yeah,
like of done lightly and carefully. Not that Claire cares about any of this, but
right.
you know, they keep doing it in the book, and it just if it doesn't in the book, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't seem
Well,
to make
they
it.
keep saying, yeah, they keep saying that like that it's terrible to go through and it feels like your body's gonna like fly apart in the screaming stones and I'm like, well, they're like bouncing back and forth. Like and I think that book 8 kind of ends um in a certain way, could have ended the series. Like it wasn't a cliffhanger. At least it wasn't to me. Maybe other people viewed it as a cliffhanger. So book 7 is definitely a cliffhanger. But if you cut out the Williams storyline, if you cut out the Bree and Roger in the future storyline, I think they could work it. They could kind of mush elements of book 8 into season 7 and end it there. So we'll see. Oh, and one more note about Bree and Roger. So that scene with okay, question. Do you think that scene with Aiden, Amy's son Aiden, was kind of random?
Uh, yes. What's happening?
So they're leading up to Amy. Let's just say that Amy is starting to depend on Roger a lot. So because she like doesn't have a husband, she has 2 young children. He built her cabin. So I like how they're like building up to that though.
Hmm.
So I think that's all I had. Next episode, there's a baby in a basket run down the rapids like
Hmm.
Moses in
Yeah,
his
little Moses.
basket. So you have that, and what else was it? I think that was the most dramatic thing that's
Yeah, that
coming
was the
up
big one.
next episode. I can't think of anything else that's coming. So yeah, just these weeks are hard. And now we're watching Outlander in the middle of the day because we're old and I can't stay up. I can't stay up late enough to watch it. And we have it on the app so we can watch it anytime we want.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's working out personally. I like it.
Yeah. So anything you think's gonna happen? Let's see. Oh, let's see if we can have like a scorecard. So I think not this episode coming up. I think the episode after. I think Henry Christian's gonna because does have he has sleep apnea really bad in the book. Um,
So episode
so I think that
604.
could be like
Saying you're calling episode 604. Um, Henry Christian is gonna die.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think
There's something. We'll see.
yeah. I think Roger's gonna be more going to look into being a minister. I think I don't. Penny Christian's the only prediction I'm gonna make. I'm hoping that they go into Tom Christie's story a little bit more, but you said that they might be leading us to him being like the baddie guy, and then like when you find out his story, it's like, oh, I understand.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they might be pulling like a, all the stuff that we've seen from him so far is for them to lead us down a path. We've already tread the path of the Browns, and they're making it seem like this is a similar Brown type character. But then they'll be like, aha! But then there's something new about him, and he's in fact, he does a turn, and this character development. And all of a sudden, he's like a good guy or a reliable guy, or he's not just the Presbyterian jerk.
So I'm gonna make another prediction. Also, with episode 4, once Henry Christian dies, we're gonna find out about Ian's what happened when Ian was with the Mohawks.
Okay.
Not sure what the
All right.
plural is. So that's my other prediction too.
All right. So that's in next.
So
That's in 604.
604.
And, I guess we have to look forward to 603 first.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Is there anything else you want to say there, Rye?
Nope. Let's call it a night for here, and we'll see you at episode 603.
All right. Bye.
Bye.